And everybody, welcome to another edition of Your Money Radio. It's Danny Stewart. You know, Danny, I don't like the light. I was about to introduce this, and I'm looking here, and I've got different lights on, and it looks like there's a sheen to my face. You know what? We're just going to adjust the lights as the show rolls on.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, we really got to. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to improve that look on you, frankly.
No, I mean, I'm a 10. Like, that's the problem.
But the scale's 100 is what the problem is.
I don't think that was the issue.
It's all relative. It's relative strength. Does Tim have good relative strength?
Welcome to another edition of Your Money Radio. It's I don't think I'm going to fix this issue. It's Danny Stewart, Don Vanderboard. I'm Tim Razor, Hunter Mazinga. We're all with you here. Look.
Before we get going, does anybody want to hear what me mommy's nickname is for Hunter?
Oh, I do want to hear what me mommy's nickname is for Hunter. I want to get to that right away. Let's do that.
Sweetums.
Oh, Sweetums.
Isn't that awesome?
I wish
he looks like a Sweetums, doesn't he?
I
appreciate that.
Little name, like on the video, on the cameras, it all has like it has DV for Don Vanderboard, my name Danny's. Can we change Hunter's to Sweetums?
Sweetums.
It was relative strength with Sweetums.
Oh, that's hot. That's I like that. Danny,
Really catchy.
You down relative strength with Sweetums and just make that the first sentence in the email. Don't, as a matter of fact, don't write anything else in the email. Just have relative strength with Sweetums and let that be the subject. Everyone's going to click on that. I mean, I would click on that if somebody sent me an email with the title relative strength with Sweetums.
Who wouldn't?
Right? So listen, another edition of Your Money Radio is upon you, stock nerds and market lovers. Listen, we got to address a lot of things. Like there were two charts that gave you clues to the rally that was coming. I want to cover that because I want to really dig into process. Last week, I spent an enormous amount of time talking to you. Let me bring it with this chart with the weekly close below the 21 and how cautious we were. And it almost sounded like we were downright bearish, Danny, like bearish, and which I clearly was. And I want to talk to you about how to get out of your own way and trade with the flow because we got really bullish come Monday. And Don did it much. Don was bullish, super bullish on Monday. I was in there bullish with Monday, and then we just got long Tuesday. And I want to talk to you about that whole process and how that works. But Danny, I think there's something else we need to address. Look, because stock nerds and market lovers, they don't like fence sitting. They don't like fence sitters. And I think we should talk about the polls. They're all in. It's 100%, Danny. They want more me. Nothing.
Crickets.
Nothing. I mean, Danny, they want everything.
I'm letting you hang there.
Yes, you are. Look, I make the joke to make a transition to. There's just such a mindset in trading that, in some of you out there, and it's not your fault because you're trained like this by television and all the marketing. It's not sports talk radio. It's not like politics. Like you can scream to the high holy hell on Twitter about whatever your opinion is on anything, be it sports, be it politics, be it food. And you're
Tim,
not gonna,
when did politic become singular?
let's go through this.
Body politic.
The body politic. I was trying to think, what's the Russian, is it the Russian route? The Politburo? The political bureau? I don't know.
I'm sorry. I got
us
us off on a tangent. I know we're trying to streamline the show.
No, we are not trying to streamline the show. It referenced the polls, Don. It's 101% now. They want more me, and no matter what I give them, like I was.
Are you saying meat or me? They want more meat, Danny. Isn't that right?
No, I think they want more me.
Meat. Yeah, meat. They want more meat. Red meat.
He said me.
I got that all confused. I thought they wanted more me.
Meat.
You.
Son of a.
Red meat. Red meat.
Like buy Fiverr.
Stocks, charts, economics.
This is like that scene in Step Brothers. Are you saying pan or Pam? Pam.
Great scene.
Pan.
I got
relative strength with Sweetums and the Step Brothers.
Well,
absolutely.
I could have swore that memo you sent out, Danny, said give them more me. And so I brought like an envelope where somebody clearly has walked on it. U.S. Postal Service, I know you're busy with other stuff. Stop walking on the sports cards being sent to me. What the hell is this? Like, not only did you do it once, like you got 2 feet on it. It's a small envelope. How the hell did you get 2 feet on this guy? Danny, nobody cares anymore about quality. That's why they want more me, which I thought, but now Don's telling me they just want more meat. Meat. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I gave Don, I don't understand what the hell the problem is. I gave him $5 on Tuesday before the election results started coming in. It was like $5. It was like, I was looking at $5 day at Don on Sunday, where I do all my stock research at the Big Truck Monster Rally. And I saw this cup and I'm like, oh my God, that is so beautiful, And so then I see it here on Monday peeking out like the Pennsylvania groundhog, Puxatawny Phil, peeking out over the 21. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my setup. And on smaller time frames, I'm like, I know it says $5, but you got to buy it. And you know what I did, Don?
Are you saying fiber?
Well, I tell you what, fiber. Yeah, that was a good cereal. Fruit and Fiber, 1980s. Tell you what, that was a way to introduce people to fiber cereal. That's what my mom did. That's why I was a husky kid. Wasn't fat, Danny. I don't even think husky's allowed in today's parlance. I was a husky kid, not a fat kid.
They don't have husky genes anymore. They don't call them husky.
I think they just have like I don't know, like big boy sizes.
No, because that's body shaming. I don't think we can even have those.
I am still carrying the scars of husky genes. So because my mom's not going to call me a fat ass, although funny story on that. So do you guys remember Garfield the cat?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Hunter got Garfield the cat. I think there was a period of time where my mom did refer to me as lard ball.
Nice.
That's healthy.
That explains a lot, Tim.
I'm fairly certain there was a period of time where lard ball, like it might have been the 80s when that was allowed. That was
That's
called
just constructive criticism.
Get to the stocks, Hunter. Stop it. We are not talking gambling.
Lard ball is constructive criticism. Absolutely.
Danny, new title of the email. Lard ball is constructive criticism. They're all going to click on it, I swear to God. So look, Fiverr, you got to have your setup, stock nerds, but I want to get in the process here. Let me stop joking around and
let's just be clear. We're talking about ticker symbol FVRR.
Yes, not Fiverr.
Come on, Fiverr.
Fiverr.
It's like Spanish rolling your R's, but you roll the V's. Fiverr.
Like Antonio Banderas.
It's actually nothing like that, Dan, but okay.
Fiverr. It's like, what was that with the scary movie?
When we have the debrief from this,
Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs.
It puts the lotions on it. It puts the lotion.
It rubs the lotion on its skin.
Oh, that's gosh.
Or else
I
it
actually
gets the
just
hose
watched that
again.
movie a few days ago.
Did
Really?
you?
Oh, like a Halloween, Halloween showing.
I never watched it all the way through, and so I just figured I might as well.
It's one of the best.
Lotion is Carson
It was a good
Wentz's
one.
downfall. He can't keep hold of that football. Surely he's Silence of the Lambing before he goes out there, because I'll tell you what, that guy he fumbles like it's his job. And I bought every Carson Wentz sports car. Don, can you keep it in? I bought every sports car. Don't lose it, Don. Every sports card out there. Don, do you have a T-shirt, by the way? Every sports
Van Halen
card.
today.
Oh yeah, 5150? No, that's not
No.
5150.
No.
Jamie's
Carson.
crying.
Who's crying?
Jamie.
Well, then Jamie must be short.
I literally got confused. I thought, what's the Aerosmith song where Jamie's got
Janie's
a gun?
got a gun.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie or
Come on,
Jamie?
Tim. Come on, Tim.
Janie's got a gun, but Jamie is crying.
Is there something wrong with Jamies in this world that I don't know about? Wait, is that two different names?
Come on, you have to know this. Jamie's crying. Jamie with an M is crying. Whoa, 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 Jamie's crying. You know that song.
Right. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's whining when he's singing it.
Well, So, but what's the difference? Like, what's the full name of Janie? Is it just Jane and
Yeah,
Jenny, or is it
Jane.
what's the Jane?
Jane.
Jane. Well, the girl who's got a gun, what's her name?
Janie. It's Janie, but it's like a nickname for her. Hey, Janie.
Oh, so
Like little
Jane. So wait,
little
hold on a
Jane.
second.
Yeah,
Jane
and then
has a
there's What a
gun.
Shame What Happened to Jane. That's a heavy metal song too.
Well, wait a minute. What about Jane from the Bare Naked Ladies?
I don't know the Bare Naked Ladies.
Well, that explains a
I
lot.
do.
You know, you've also got Jefferson Starship Jane.
Jefferson Starship sold out, didn't they?
Oh my God, We Built This City. It's one of my top 3 worst songs of all time, along with Mr. Roboto and Beds Are Burning.
Oh my gosh, Reagan and I heard Mr. Roboto in the car the other day, and I am the modern man, secret, I've got a secret, and she's looking at me like, what the hell is this? With parts made in Japan, secret, I got a secret.
Please stop.
My mind is IBM, and she stops and she goes, "What's that?" And I said, "A shitty stock."
Don, I got a question for you.
Yes.
As far as we're talking about selling out, so when I was in elementary school, one of my favorite bands before they went super pop was REO Speedwagon. Their original Golden Country, the original Riding the Storm Out, and then all of a sudden they just went.
Whoa, Danny, I'm gonna have to stop you there right there.
I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Oh yes, no,
terrible.
Yes.
Terrible song.
No, it's the best song ever.
Pop love
I can't
ballads.
fight this feeling
Terrible song.
any longer.
Go back to Barry Manilow, man.
God.
Listen, Danny, I'll take you to the Copa. So listen, Stockner's process. Let me get this show back on track because there is a crowd.
Stocks, red meat.
There's a crowd out there that wants nothing but me. So let's do this. So process. Let's see here. There's a couple charts that you have to be in sync with. So first chart. Okay, so let's do the first chart. Let's get VX up here. And Don and I have been talking about this all week. So look, and I'm talking about we went to bed on Friday night bearish. Hey, this market doesn't look good. It closed below. And Don not so much as me. Don was like, hey, Don's quote, I believe, was, "I'm not so concerned unless we get below the 200 day." And that's from Don's studies and everything that Don works on. And they're like, well, Tim, why aren't you the same thought process as Don? Well, I'm not a Don bot. I mean, there are Don bots out there. We don't have any of them. They sold out like that, like Teddy Ruxpin's in 1986. So.
Cabbage Patch Dons.
Oh my God, what would that doll look like popping out of the ground? Like
a lot of people named their pet rocks Don.
Yeah.
You guys are such heat, man. By the way, all complaints, every single effing complaint that you have, stock nerds, about this week's show, it goes. I'm gonna show it to them, Danny, if it'll ever pop up. It's
Hunter
Dan. There.
Hunter.
Oh, they go right here. Hunter.
Hunter is our new tier 1 support person for complaints.
Tier 1. By the way, tier 1 with us is just single tier for the Jag. So
oh God, it's a lot more than a single tier. The Jags, oh man,
Jags are bad. So getting back to this chart. So Don said, I am of the mindset that I don't like a close below the weekly because that starts the tide. You know, that's what is the song by Stevie Nicks? Not Tidefall, landslide. That starts the landslide. The landslide brought her down, right? Like close below the 21. I've seen it enough times, starts the landslide. But the thing is, stock nerds, about the markets, this isn't like, boy, was it politic that started this whole discussion? It's not
I think
like
so,
politics.
because you singularized it and you just can't do that.
I'm pretty sure you can. Check the dictionary, although they change that thing I hear all the time. It's not like politic. It's not like sport. You can do sport like that too. It's not like, although I did sports earlier, it's not like sport talk radio. It's not like politic. You're not going to change anybody's mind typically screaming from high holy hell on Twitter. But the markets beg you not to have that mindset. They you know, like, well, Tim, you were bearish last week and now look at you. You're like bullish this week. Yeah, because the facts change. And when the facts change, you can't be so resolute in your position that you're going to cost yourself money. And so that's one thought. And I'm going to give you the fact-based things like I've been doing all week and Don's been doing all week to get you over that hurdle, because that is a big stumbling block for the hurdle.
What's that quote, Don, that you always say with perma bears and perma bulls? Bulls get bulls get
Bears.
slaughtered?
Bears make money, bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered.
Okay.
Yeah, and so but
That'll
when
be
you,
flexible.
so that's one issue right there is, you know, you can't get over, you picked a position, and then the other position is you just freeze, you know, like you're afraid that the moment you buy something it's going to go down. And this is about process. And I know the 76ers might have been they're still in a process, right, Hunter? The 76ers haven't been out of a process since 2001. So
You got to trust the process, right? Then,
you
and didn't they just
do.
hire,
You
did they
are.
trust, was it Doc Rivers? Is that right?
No. No, Doc Rivers is going to be the savior along with Daryl Morey. But look, there are things that are tried and true that you can improve your returns with. And so here, like this week, and let me just move my camera so I can see all this. So this week, the Vixen futures uninverted, and they uninverted on Sunday night. And that means that this contract, which has like 14 days left on it, as I'm speaking to you, didn't price out above this contract. And like, Tim, what's the big deal about that? That means the professional traders, when they're looking at risk, they're saying, you know what, we're not as concerned anymore about risk. Or if they were, a contract that has, at that time, maybe let's just call it 16 days, a contract that had 16 days on it was pricing out higher than a contract that has 40 days. And the easiest way I can explain that to you, stock nerds, is like a car rental. If you rented a car for a week and it was $100, you would expect a car rental for a month to maybe cost like $1,000. But now I want you to flip it, that a car rental for 1 week cost $1,000 and a car rental for a month only cost you like $100. That doesn't make any sense, right? The last statement doesn't make any sense monetarily or like what we're used to. When the people that control the market, mutual funds, pension funds, hedge funds, when they take the current month's VIX futures contract and they invert it, that they're willing to pay $1,000 for a short-term car rental, when a long-term car rental is only $100, it doesn't make any sense. And that means the markets, they have the propensity, that's the key word, the propensity to go much lower. That doesn't mean they will. It just means that the propensity exists. And when you get 3 contracts doing that, all of my friends, that's a big deal. And so on Sunday night into Monday, the VIX futures actually uninverted. They went back to normalized processes, a normalization, where the short-term rental contract prices out at 100 and the long-term prices out at 1,000. And that all makes sense in the world. And when that event happened, you saw the markets rally on Monday, and it stayed that way Tuesday into the election. And so what happens here is you get locked into your thought process. So you went to bed maybe over the weekend bearish. You've got views on world events or national events that you think are going to affect the markets. And then when they don't happen, you're not purposely trying to dig in your heels. It's that I believe 90% of the markets are psychological. You're fighting yourself. You see it happening. You're like, oh my God, markets are going up. And now you're like, but it's not going to last. And everybody who's ever traded markets has done it. They've lost money with this mindset. Everyone. There's few absolutes in life. This is one of them, because you don't think the markets have realized your point of view. And the problem is the markets don't give 2 rats about you. They're just the markets, and you're just one person. And so you need signaling. You need, I hate to use the word indicator because indicators can become a crutch, but you need fact-based evidence. Let's do that. Fact-based evidence that gets you over yourself. And so we froze it. If you paid attention last week, we froze the accounts by selling down to the sleeping point, and then we hedged them. So come what may, we were going to be what we thought was okay. And then on Monday, and I'll let Don explain his whole process, but Monday happens, Don recognizes the signals and he sells his hedge. And then I don't sell my hedge on Monday, but I buy stocks
Actually, Monday I didn't do anything. It wasn't until end of day Tuesday.
Oh, okay. And so
I came in defense. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
it was Tuesday, I'm sorry.
The second strength. Yeah.
So, but that's signaling. And so Don has the video Monday night, and then Tuesday night, something so glorious happened that you could spot the follow through coming, like that the markets are bullish. They had a bullish day, but a lot of you on the other end of this microphone are thinking, oh, it's a one-hit wonder. This isn't real. And you're just shaking your fist like these markets are going to get their asses handed to them after they see the election results. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who wins in this story that I'm telling. But then a chart appears on Tuesday, and it's right here. It's the put call ratio chart. I'm going to show you what I was looking at. So here's Friday, here's today, Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday. And so for 2 days, you had the put call ratio, even though it came back, it went up on Tuesday, and you had this 10-day moving average going higher. And then on Wednesday, it was a great day in the markets, and the put call ratio went even higher, and the 10-day moving average trended even higher. That means there was secret quick buying. That means that people were still probably overly bearish. They had bad location on their shorts, and the moment the market goes up, what are they going to do? What are shorts going to do? The shorts, bears are the most scared animal in the woods. Out of all the animals, name another scared animal, Danny. I can't think of one.
Skunk.
See? Really? Like, can we just?
But it's got some
I did this for a reason. I just wanted to see the animal that popped out of Danny's head first. And skunk. I think we could examine this with Dr. Sigmund Freud. Tell me, Danny, why is the skunk?
When we redo the production of our introduction and we don't have Danny saying skunk, no. I mean that cut has just absolutely got to be in there. Skunk. Danny's taking notes right now and telling Kenny what part to edit out of the show.
I've got skunk on the mind because our damn dog has been sprayed about 3-4 times now. It chases it out there and the thing runs away, but our dog's fast and catches it. That gets close and it gets sprayed.
Skunk?
Yum too? I feel like Jeff Foxworthy could do that impression. All right. So you got this put call ratio. Fair.
Also known as the skunk indicator.
I was just literally thinking that. Like I had to stop myself.
That just made the newsreel.
There you go. So you've got this put call indicator right here that is screaming bad location by bears. And what happens on Wednesday? You get follow through. And Thursday you get follow through. And so that's a big signal. Now look down here, Stockners, at the bottom of my chart. That's the SPX on a daily, okay? Well, Tim, that's all they're doing. That's all the markets are coming up to. And look, you may be right. I don't know. I don't know the next tick in the market. Don and I spend an awful amount of time focusing on what's going to happen on the right side of the market, what has the most propensity to take place, because markets are probabilities. And when you start thinking about the markets mathematically, like a human Excel spreadsheet, which Don is, when Don rips open his shirt, the Hulk Hogan, it said there's a big E on his chest for Excel.
There's rows and columns. Yeah.
Rows and columns. That should be the name of your rock band.
Rows and columns.
Rows and columns.
Rows and columns. So great. So can you change your name next week on the show to Rows and Columns
instead of Columns?
Yeah. So when you start thinking about the markets in mathematical parlance, it gets so much easier. And look, I will tell you that I'm probably like I'm emotional. I'm human. Like I'm just like you. I'm in the pits every day fighting, trading. But I've learned over time to just turn off those sensors when I'm looking at this. And the market either is or it isn't. It's like a Yoda, right? It's either doing or it's not. And what I'm saying, I realize is so hard to do. But once you get it, you just recognize it. And so we adjusted the portfolios tremendously. We're going to go over all of those moves, stock nerds. But I'm telling you, the first thing I did, and I kind of opened with it, was I bought Fiverr. Like, it was the one that stood out to me. And just because it's going up tremendously doesn't mean that, well, Tim, you're so smart. No, I'm just following my signaling. That's all I'm doing. And when Don buys a winner and it becomes a home run, we don't know the winners from the losers. If we did, we would only buy the winning stocks. But what allows you to win long term in this is being able to switch your mindset. And for so many, it takes a lot of practice. It takes years to overcome some of these hurdles. So clearly, I want to be really clear, because I know we've been joking around. The VIX future is uninverted. That's a huge clue. No matter what's happening, nuclear catastrophe could be happening somewhere. And if the VIX future is uninverted, I can only tell you how. I can't stress to you enough how important that signaling is. Just like to show you that I'm not perfect, I'm really handsome and 99% perfect. I messed it up when the markets peaked around October 10th, October 12th, Don. And I even in the meeting, like, the VIX futures have inverted, but the charts look so good. And my experience has been, when the charts look bullish, you can ignore that VIX future signaling. Well, no more. Markets have changed. When the VIX future signal appears bearishly, honor it. When it appears bullishly or disappears, that's bullish, honor it. And that's what we did. And then when you add in what the put call ratio was signaling, which is a secondary indicator for me, price action trumps everything. Like, what is the market doing? Then you look at the VIX futures. Then I'm looking at put call. I'm like, okay, I got to take some action here. And it's not hard. It's not like a debate. It's like, hey, let's process into this. And so with that, I'm going to cap that right there, because that's a lot. Danny, do you need to interpret anything before I turn it over to Don to go over his process, what he was seeing, and then what he did in the week, and then I'll cover what we did.
I think you explained it pretty well. But the one thing I would add is, you don't do it all at once. You don't just go all in and all out 100%. You're going to take layers off. 20, 25, 30% cash. If it continues to get weak, you may raise more cash. And then as it starts strengthening again, you'll add back in 20, 30%. Because otherwise you just get whipsawed all around. So you want to do it incrementally. I mean, unless you get some serious flashing indicators all confirming, you're going to do it in layers.
Look, and this is, we have a diverse audience, but it's a niche audience as well. And I want to explain something to you, stock nerds. What we just explained to you is explained nowhere else. They just shout at each other, buy and sell. They sprout opinion. Nothing I gave you right there was opinion. If you took notes on that, and if you don't have the parlance to take notes during the show, like you're walking around, you're running, I've often said that people make love to the sound of my voice. I know that there's probably been babies made. No, you don't think
so?
That's
the first time. No, I was laughing at Hunter's expression. He started laughing. It's the first time he's heard that dribble.
But here's the thing. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just call this number. Look, we don't have a sales team. We're not going to sell you anything. We want to empower you to be better if you can. Maybe you're doing great. Like, I don't need you, Tim. Well, I appreciate you listening. Thank you. But if you didn't quite understand the power of what I just said, just call 855-732-5932. I swear to you, over the years in my own accounts, I have tested so many things. And I just know that signaling. I'm telling you. Like, they don't, and I used to fly helicopters in the Marine Corps. And there's no rule written in the rule book of flying a particular helicopter that doesn't exist because someone hasn't gotten hurt or killed. Like, they're all written in blood. All my rules have been written with losses of my own money. And where I've made money, I'm like, oh, okay, we should write that down too. And so what I just gave you right there, in my opinion, is really powerful. Don telling you not to sweat the 200 day isn't an opinion. Not to sweat until the 200 day. isn't an opinion. It's studied fact. And you can have two different processes and still have very successful outcomes. And so it's just, if you don't understand what I just did there and what Don's about to say, Hunter, that's a great picture of you. You look like the fifth Beatle. Is that Pete Best?
Thank you.
Like, doesn't he look like the fifth Beatle?
I talked to Kenny about that. I said, because with the tree in the background, at first I thought it was like his college graduation cap from when I was far away. But then when I came and looked close, I said, oh, that's his hair.
And it's like he's got two waves to his hair.
Kenny said those are the what did he call those?
Frat boys?
No, there's a term for the hair, the frat
boys.
Frat,
I don't know.
Frat burns or something.
Frat burns.
I was in a fraternity.
Couple action right here, and then a little Ron Popeil spray on right here. That is
a lot of work that went into that.
I was going to say, you've got two distinctive areas in there, and I don't see a part, which is really Beatle-esque. Like the Beatles had no parts, right? Like
straight down.
The Beetlebots just woke up, they marched, and then like a machine from the Jetsons plopped their hair on, and then they just marched about, right?
That's what I was going for. Was just a
That
Beatles look,
great.
even though I wasn't around for them.
Anyway, Don, what did you do this week?
Interesting week. I followed the trend gauge that I talk about in every one of my videos, and also that is translated into an exposure percentage that I call the beta index. It's really an adjusted beta. It's not a pure beta. It factors in average true range for the holdings, but that's how I'm really not doing a good job of articulating this, am I?
You're butchering.
Okay, Bruce Lee says flow like water, and William O'Neill says bend like a tree in the breeze relative to the market, right? And that's what you got to do. That has to do with not being all in or all out. When you start the O'Neill process, and you understand that, hey, I can actually sell stocks and lock in gains or cut losses, the temptation is to oversell, I think, in my opinion, and not give the stocks room enough to breathe. And this was the biggest struggle that I had in the early days of following the discipline, is the need to be right, the need to be contrarian, the need to be, hey, I'm smarter than the market. Ooh, there's weakness, I better sell something. You have to be able to give things room to breathe, and that goes with position sizing correctly and honoring your stops and putting your stops at the right place so that you don't get shaken out. And I still get shaken out constantly.
Can I pause you right there real quick? When it's your first day with words, you got to just take it slow.
Yeah. I pooped today too on the toilet, so we got that going too. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Don.
You're welcome. Don't tell me you haven't seen a kid with an "I poop today" shirt on.
I can't say that
anyway.
I have.
I guess that's a Florida thing.
Anyway.
Can you make that your shirt for next week?
I might, yeah. You got your hands up in the air when it's in the triumphant.
I think SWBI really symbolizes what you were just describing, Don, because we both sold that on it. Was that Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, we both got our teeth kicked a little bit on that, and it snapped back.
Yeah, so talk about that real quick. I think that's a really interesting.
And it's really last week I talked about 3 stocks that would help your physical security and portfolio security, and they were all kind of in the same theme. Axon, which is the old taser, SWBI, Smith & Wesson, and VSTO, which is ammunition and outdoor shooting activities. And I got stopped on 2 of them, but I've got a nice gain on AAXN because I honored the stops on the 2 of them, and they're both higher now than where I sold. Yeah. And I'm letting the winner run. I'm actually ahead with 1 winner and 2 losers on that. So it's about honoring your process, knowing your process, sticking to the process, but the process has to be it has to have a positive expectancy. In other words, you can't lose more than you're winning. So people always say stick to your process. Well, if your process sucks, you better be improving your process.
But that's the best thing about markets, because like
the instant feedback mechanism.
Yeah, and you can always improve your process. Like every day, the markets, when you come, like when Don and I will say it's a market and anything can happen. I mean, that was the embodiment of this week. And if your process doesn't allow you to look with the market with fresh eyes every morning, I think you're at a disadvantage because every morning, like every time the markets open up at 8:30 Central, or as Don will tell you, the only time zone that exists is Eastern at 9:30 Eastern.
That's true.
Anything can happen, and so what's your fallback for interpreting information? Like I don't think I'm pretty sure Don doesn't do what I have on the screen here, but I've got the intercorrelated assets from the ticks, the S&Ps, the volatility futures, the bonds. Apple is its own asset class to me. Crude oil, the Dow, the small caps, the dollar, and the breadth of the market on the S&Ps and the Nasdaq. And looking at that gives me so much information that I can process it and go, okay, this is what's happening. Like today, look at the volatility. Even though markets have pulled back, I don't want to short here. Why? The volatility futures are coming off, and they continue to come off. Like even if you're going to get bad location. Well, Tim, isn't that called buying on dip? Volatility futures are coming off. Did you see what the markets did the last 3 or 4 days? Like if you look at the S&Ps, like look at this move. They're flat today. That's a victory for the bulls. Now, if they end up 2% lower come the end of the day, maybe I change my tune. But the ES futures, let's put it on SPX. The SPX, which is flat, this is a victory. And so, I mean, what a run the markets have had this week. And that's why you don't want to chase. So Don, go on with your process of the things that you bought, please.
So it's a matter of combining where we are, how leadership stocks are acting, what risks are on the horizon, and where the major indexes are relative to the 21, the 50, and the 200-day moving average. It's something I go over every time I do a video. So coming into the week, we were below the 21 and the 50. So my adjusted beta was below 0.5. That's just the exposure that I need. I don't want to be all out because the market never gets into serious trouble until it breaks the 200-day moving average. So keeping about half exposure to the market, seeing what happens going into the election. We had a decent up day on Monday, but tech lagged. Tech is typically a leader. So that was defensive posturing on Monday. Tuesday, we had broader strength across the board heading into the election. That was where I added apps because it was one of the strongest stocks that was on my list and it had an earnings shakeout. And then at the end of the day, I took my hedge off to get my beta over between 0.5 and 0.75 because of relative to where we were. I didn't think that anything that I had was going to have a big move one way or the other, regardless of the reaction to the election. And that is what actually happened. We had a big gap up on Monday morning after the election, even though it was undecided, because it became apparent that we were going to have mixed parties in power. If you have all of one or all of the other, that's when the market kind of gets scared. But the system of checks and balances seems to keep things running more smoothly, and there aren't drastic changes. So that was when I started adding exposure. And the biggest way to add exposure, the way I do it anyway, is with decent size positions in either SSO or QLD. And I took a 10% and then another 5%. So 15% SSO position until I sorted the leadership out. That got my beta up near a 0.1 because we gapped back above the 21 and the 50-day moving average. And if that holds, I want to be participating. That's big when the indexes are above the 21 and the 50-day moving average. And if it fails, that's fine. That's the risk that you take, and you understand that it is a math problem. As long as you keep your losses small and you let your winners run, you're going to make money in the market. So I took that and then started adding little bits of exposure. Although I did get stopped out of SWBI, that was a harsh reaction because there was no rioting and people decided to sell gun stocks. That's fine. I knew where my stop was. I got out with a paper cut. Keep all your losses small and you won't even remember them, but you'll never forget a big loss. That's a key. And I just started adding over the last couple of days. Added Qualcomm after hours, added PayPal, CMG, and DraftKings. And my exposure now is at 1.1.
Oh, you bought CMG? Did you say CMG?
Yeah, CMG
Okay.
and PayPal yesterday, and DraftKings near the close.
Mhm.
And so my beta now is at about a 1.1, which when we're above the 21 and above the 50, that's where I want to be.
And
So now
go ahead. I'm sorry, Don.
you're straight up off the bottom now too, so expect a little bit of sideways action, which is fine. You can either correct through time or through price. The best way is to correct just through time, which would be going sideways. And look, we're 5 days straight up off the bottom.
And so there's also the thought too that I want to make sure people are clear. That's not the only things that are in the portfolio. Don didn't sell everything; he hedged, and so
right, I
he
still
sold.
had about 12 positions. I
Yeah.
think they were small, anywhere from 2% to 5%. Bigger ones in the leaders. Yeah.
Yep. I led you that way because I wanted you to say that your weaponry here not only is your process, but it's also your size and positioning. Like you don't have to take large positions. Like Don said, 2.5, maybe a 5% position. That you follow your rules. That you got to take a loss when it's small. It's fine. But some of you are taking 25% or 50%, and you laugh, but you're so concentrated that when you get these pullbacks, they kind of startle you, and you get shaken out of some of the best stocks. And one of those is pins. And Don and I both have pins in the portfolio. And well, this is shaped up to be such a beautiful chart. And I was down on pins when it was, the market was ugly, and then but it did this half back retrace, and it never crossed the 5, Don, on a daily chart. That's the purple line there. And now it looks like it wants to come up. I think 77 is the target. I've got a target of 77 on this. That's a fib level for me. And I think that's where pins heads, but doesn't mean it's going to get there. But it's one of it's still in the portfolio. So when you take, when the market changes and you take your hedge off, one, that lets your portfolio breathe. But if you've got some of the most fundamentally and technically sound stocks, they're going to help you out tremendously. Like Don, I think you have, let me see what it's doing today. I haven't looked. You have Snow and Unity, which I've been trying to get into. That's a great chart.
Unity's having a good day.
Oh, is it? Let's look at you. Look at that. Like these are real. I mean, I was going to sneak into Snow and Unity, but I've got a pretty good position size in Sky. And so clearly not what the University of Miami is doing here. But
those are very volatile stocks, so position size accordingly.
Yeah, Don, look at this, man. You can see this a mile away. Just as it gets closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, there's going to come a point where
it's coiling like a basketball underwater, and if you let it go, that a big leader too. They're a fairly new IPO. That's one of the reasons for the volatility. But you'd love to see the big move up, pull back, consolidate above the key moving averages before making another run.
I will forget to see. We can get a position in Snow. We don't have to do it right now, but we can do that today. I'll forget to tell you because I'm going to process the show. We can produce the show right now. Produce the portfolio right now. Snow. Let it snow, Danny. Let it snow. And then, so were those all your moves, Don? Because I'll cover what I did. And
I
want to do
that's pretty much everything.
I'll tell you what. Here's how the show is going to go. I'll do some more stock moves. We'll do Sweetums with Hunter. Sweetums. And then Hunter, what happened to Penn State, man? Their national championship game. What happened to the parlays this week?
So on Penn State, it was a close game for the most part, but just I think outmatched. Ohio State's really good, and he had a small sample size, but it was about as close as I thought it would be. They needed a couple of plays to go their way, but
football
NFL wise,
college football feels weird to me because there's no fans in the stands. It feels disjointed. That's probably.
I agree. Okay. NFL to me seems not as bad, but on the NFL, the Packers fell to the Vikings and the Titans fell to the Bengals, which screwed up the A team. But that happens. So
you got a parlay this week?
I do have one. I can do it now, or I can do it at the very end.
No, do it now, because then I'll cover the moves I made, and then I'll get back to you with the RS, the groups that I think you think stock nerds should be paying attention to. What you
I got you. Okay. Real quick, 5-team parlay.
Let's do it.
Chiefs,
Ooh, where they playing?
Giants. Chiefs are playing the here, let me pull this back up.
The G-men.
Chiefs are playing the Panthers. I got the Giants beating the Redskins. I have the Bills beating the Seahawks at home. Cardinals beating the Dolphins.
Huh?
And the Patriots beating the Jets on Monday Night Football.
Patriots are
And
not
so
good this year, are they?
no. But a $10 bet wins $106 roughly on those 5 games. So that's what I'm going to go with this week.
I'm taking Washington over the Giants.
I debated, it's tough. But actually, I think the Giants are better than their record shows. I like their defense. And I think Daniel Jones is actually a good quarterback.
Who's the dancing quarterback? Who's the dancing quarterback for the Broncos? What's that kid's name?
The quarterback right now?
Drew
the
Lock.
dancer, the guy who
dancing Drew Lock. Yep.
Drew Lock, yeah.
I started him this week in fantasy football. Smart move, because Carson, because look, my fantasy football team is all Eagles, so they're on a bye. So I had to get a quarterback. I went with Drew
Who do they
Lock.
play? Falcons.
At Atlanta.
I think the Falcons are garbage in the secondary. So I mean, I don't think it's a bad move.
Oh, all right.
I wouldn't argue with it either.
Oh,
I'm starting. I had to do a pickup too because Dak got hurt. I now have Wentz and Burrow as my quarterbacks.
You're not making a mistake. You're not making one.
They're both on buys this week. I'm going with Kyle Allen of the Redskins. So that's another reason why I'm taking the Redskins. Because I have Terry McLaurin too, so I'm hoping for a double dip there.
Danny, who's your quarterback this week? Smith and Wesson?
I have no idea. They're still. You mean Dallas are waiting to see if the guy's coming off the concussion?
How is Andy Dalton even alive after that hit? Like that's not fun football, man. That's not.
No, that was brutal. That guy should have got suspended for that.
Did he not get suspended for that?
Fined, but not suspended.
So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Don! I just opened up a package, not the one that was walked on.
All right, let me set a timer so that we can move on.
We need to go to stocks, man.
We're done after this. We're done after this.
We got 10. I got a hard stop in 10 minutes.
Hard stop.
Hard stop.
Hold on.
I mean, by the end of the show, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got 10 minutes. Look, I'm a professional broadcaster, Danny.
Okay.
Can you see Dr. J?
There's always glare on those.
Hold on a second. Let me turn this light off. I didn't realize this was coming in the mail.
How excited you must be.
Well, I just get packages.
I love
and
Dr. J. The Fro back in the days. I mean, he was a badass. He was with the red, white, and blue basketball, especially in the ABA.
Is that better?
No,
not even. It's because they're in these lucite cases.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, Danny, the lights went down in Georgia. Country song.
So did the devil.
Great song.
2020 took Charlie Daniels from us too, didn't it? Charlie Daniels is no longer with us.
Fire in the mountain, run boys run.
Did you not know that, Don, that Charlie Daniels isn't with us anymore?
So many people died this year. I can't even keep track. A lot of my heroes. As long as Randy Marsh from South Park is still alive, I'm good though.
I didn't know you were a Randy fan, Don.
How can you not be a Randy Marsh fan?
He's one of the top characters of all time, right? I put him at number 1 and Peter at number 2.
You know what? Danny has no idea what we're talking about, Hunter.
He doesn't know Timmy. I'm
actually working, so keep going.
Working on that snow position, Danny?
There you go.
So I talked about.
Do you want that? I forgot all about that.
Look at you. So I talked about Fiverr already. So I think Tuesday, what I do, I added Fiverr. Maybe it was Tuesday. I added Fiverr, GDX, and XLI. So I was early on GDX. By the way, there's no difference between being early and being wrong. It's just how do you position size and then what's your stop. So where's Tuesday? That's Tuesday right here. So I bought it. It pulls back, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's not going to work. And now it's had this explosive move. That's explosive for GDX. But I trigger it off of gold. And this is a daily chart of gold, and I really like this daily chart of gold. It does not look as good as snow, but this is just one big consolidation.
I
Right
did
down.
not think you were early on that GDX. I actually discussed this with Hunter the day before you bought it. I meit was down the first day and it was under the moving averages, but the relative strength made a subtle higher high and the price had not. And I put it on my list, haven't bought it, but and now you're being confirmed with relative strength at a new high ahead of that, along with that high from 4 weeks ago.
And I bought the miners ETF because I don't know which mining.
No,
Man,
that
those
is
mining
that is
stocks are
they
tough.
all move. When they move, they all
Yep.
move, and the broad ETF is definitely, I agree, the way to go.
Yep.
I've tried picking individual ones, and you just
I
and
get
there's
hit
no
by the
consistency from
yeah,
one base to another either.
not
You
even
can have
close.
no.
Like when I see Newmont mining lead, I'm like, I'm gonna get some Newmont, and the day I buy it, it gets hit slap with a downgrade, and I'm like, this is I've gotten hit enough like that where I just buy the ETF. Here's the weekly chart of gold, continuously finding support at the 21 exponential moving average. That's bullish, and that consolidation is something I think it has nothing to notice that there's no opinion based in my gold decision. Who's the dude from MASH that keeps hawking gold on Fox News? I think my mom loves him.
Is he still doing that? I haven't seen that. Is he still alive? I haven't seen that commercial in a while.
2020 took so many, Don. I don't know.
I know.
I'm pretty sure. Is there a case where they're going to air a company would air a commercial with a dead spokesperson? They wouldn't do that, right?
It depends on their advertising budget.
And he does a good job of scaring you. And he's like, well, they're printing money, and they show you like the pound printing presses from England printing money, and he talks about.
Is it the guy that was BJ Honeycutt, who I really did not like as a replacement for?
Yes,
that's him.
So, Mike Farrell? Is that his name? Mike Farrell? I think it might be. I didn't like that character, especially
I'd like to see
because
Radar O'Reilly buying gold. Let's see that guy buy some gold. For my friends at whatever gold, XLI. I like XL. Look, let's see what the industrials are doing. Yeah, they had a good day. We'll see. I'm not, let me get the daily chart. I'm not sold on the industrials. I bought the industrials. They're holding the 21 on the daily chart. I'm okay with it. Not my, let me switch. Not my most favorite position that I own, but I bought those on Tuesday as well to get some exposure. Oh, and then pre-market, Danny, on Wednesday, I picked up XLI. That's working out so far. Also got long. I like the software group so much here, and I already had some exposure. Okay, TA. What's Okta doing? Yeah, consolidating after an explosive move. It'll probably consolidate a little more. Let's start working it down though. Let's take it to a 4-hour. Can we see anything developing? Yeah, you absolutely can. So 4-hour right there. Let's take it down to a 78-minute. Yep, this is a beautiful consolidation. This is what you want to see. When you have an explosive move off the bottom, like that gap up right there, you want to see price consolidate. It's flat bases, no matter where you find them, are they're follow-on patterns. If the story of the stock is still in place and the market's still in place, those things work. And then one more. I bought some Tesla to add. Let's get this back.
By the way, we're done on snow.
Oh, thanks, Danny. Yeah, Tesla's acting really well here. I like Tesla super much here. Well, if Tesla can get finally above the 445 level, I've got it drawn on my chart. That's a big Elliott wave level of resistance. I think Tesla explodes, but who knows? Oh, and one last note about Fiverr, FB, and then we'll do Don, Hunter, and Danny. We'll do Hunter, Don, and Danny, FVRR. So Fiverr, there's something about Fiverr that's interesting, that if you ever see it, and it's a beautiful chart pattern, put it on your list and study it. Hard to borrow. That's that you get some positive price action. That's the sign that a short squeeze is coming. Okay, Hunter, give me what you got on subgroups, man. Sectors and subgroups.
So first thing, I'm going to start with individual names first, and then I'll have some comments on some industry groups. But pull up ticker symbol YETI, YETI. Yeah, had a big move on earnings yesterday, I believe. Really solid earnings. Popped up to almost 61 yesterday, and just a very slight down day today. But that's one that made, new all-time highs. Relative strength jumped up drastically to new highs on RS. So one to keep on your list, one to watch. And it's, just keep an eye on it for the days moving forward as it kind of consolidates here and see what happens. Next one, CGNX, Cognex. They manufacture modular vision systems that eliminate defects, verify assemblies, and automate production. Kind of an under the radar one, but RS has been increasing over the last 2 or 3 weeks, even with the market pull off. And they had a really strong move off of the 50-day going back to Monday from about $65 all the way up to 75, and then they're pulling back slightly on lower volume today. So one to keep an eye on as well. Showed strength. And they also had really good earnings on October 28th. Good EPS, good sales. And the last individual one that's new today, DocuSign, one that's been a leader, had a really, really strong move on the 4th, about a 13% day. They were actually up a little bit more yesterday, and then they're down a little bit today on really reduced volume. So just it's one that actually might not be an awful entry point here. So just another one to keep on your radar. And then I want to touch on a few that we have mentioned previously. MPWR, Monolithic Power, continues to be the leader in this group. And you can see they bounced off of the 21. This is semiconductor, and I'm gonna talk about semiconductor equipment and fabricators here. But MPWR, the RS line, I mean, is monstrous from about September 11th, out of when they were about $184, or not, sorry, not $184, 235, 242 today, where they're about 355. They consolidated nicely from about October 9th until this big move on November 4th, and really broke out, and they're down slightly today on lower volume as well. And another one that we talked about.
That's a 2121 member, by the way, from last week.
Okay.
That's true. And another one we talked about, Teradyne, TER. I mentioned last Friday, I believe, that they were starting to look like they were forming a little cup and handle action, and one to watch for a breakout. And sure enough, they broke out to new highs, recent highs anyway. They're one like Qualcomm, where they've got an all-time high back in like 2000, but they broke over 100 yesterday, and they're slightly up today as well. So another one to keep on your radar.
Okay.
All right, and then in regards to industry groups here, semi equipment, which is Teradyne's in that group, they have really had a strong move. They've showed a lot of strength over the last 4 days, and that's Lam Research, KLA-Tencor, Applied Materials, Teradyne. They're all in that group. LRCX is Lam.
Thank you.
And then some interesting groups that maybe you aren't really thinking about or paying attention to. Chemicals, paints, Sherwin-Williams, to pull up ticker symbol SHW.
Yep.
They've really been showing strength even when the builders, the ITB materials and whatnot are not. So some very interesting relative strength here. And you can pull up PPG as well, Tim. It's another one in that group. And they're strong as well. So it's just a very interesting group when I was going through the data here. And then chemicals, agriculture, SQM, which I believe is on the 21/21. Is that correct, Don?
You are correct, sir.
Has showed some strength. And then also SMG, Scott's Miracle-Gro, which I believe had earnings not long ago.
Just a couple of days ago, yep.
Yeah, but they have had a nice move over the last 4 or 5 days as well. And they're actually right at, they made new highs today. Let me look and see if these are all-time highs.
Yeah, look
They
at the
are.
pot stocks that reported today. Tilray up 35%, CGC. A lot of people don't realize SMG is a play on the pot stocks.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And so anyways, some interesting groups, some interesting moves, and a couple more comments here on some other groups that have been moving significantly, that are maybe plays on Biden potentially winning the election, that aren't pot and that aren't solar. You've seen medical industry groups grow up significantly, and that's across a number of industry groups: managed care, diversified, hospitals, drugs, service and equipment, drugs and supplies, etc. But pull up UNH, please, Tim.
You got it.
Had a monster move, I believe, on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong. But They're the leader in the managed care group, which actually for the last 4 days has had the largest jump in 3-month relative strength of any industry group that we track. They pulled back a little bit after that huge move, but that's to be expected, but one to keep an eye on. And another group that has actually showed some relative strength is pollution control. So you've got medical and pollution control, which could be construed as a green play, along kind of in the same breath as energy solar, perhaps. So pull up TTEK. It's one that's just been really strong in this group here. Tetra Tech. But it's just two interesting areas of the market that maybe you wouldn't initially think of to be showing strength on Biden. I know everybody thinks of pod, everybody thinks of solar and alternative energy, but there's two different areas here. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got. One last comment maybe is just over the course of the week, really into Tuesday and Wednesday, and then throughout this week, you've seen the strength kind of fade away on some of the names like banks and whatnot that were more defensive, and you've seen those riskier growth assets have some nice days. A lot of computer software names in various industry groups, and the more popular internet names as well. So that's all I got, guys.
All right, Danny, we're going to end it here. 1 second though. Don, give me 2 names off the 21 to 21. 2 names.
Align ALGN, one I got stopped out of when it undercut the low of the base or of the gap up, but has shown extreme strength. Now I'm looking for a pullback to the top of that prior high after the gap up. And NET was in the 21-21 list and just absolutely exploded today. Don't own either of these.
Awesome. Oh, Roku. For that Roku move. Roku.
Tons.
Okay.
I mean, I've got 6 gap ups of 10% or more on my just on the screen that I'm looking at today. Actually, there's 8 of them. It's insane.
Look at this move in Roku. This is $100 move since September in Roku. Just insane. Stockner's market lovers, listen. Danny, before I turn it over to you, we get asked all the time about back testing. The easiest way to back test: click Daily Market Insight on revereasset.com. Watch. We don't take any videos down, and we sure as hell don't edit them. There's 171 pages of videos with dates. You can go back to any market environment and see how we've handled every market, whether it's a presidential election in 2016, whether it's a big sell-off in fourth quarter of 2018, or whether it was the market's implosion this first quarter into the second quarter, and then coming out and how we built back the portfolios. You can see exactly how we perform. We don't hide anything. So if you want that information, it's all there for you. All right, Danny, take us home, and then I got one last stock. Go ahead,
folks. If you like what you learned, what you heard, and you tell your friends, tell your neighbors, just send them to revereasset.com. They can hit the subscribe button. This podcast, as well as our daily market insight, will be delivered right into their inbox. They can also sign up on Don's webinar page for his monthly hour-long webinars. And if you can't make it, you still should sign up, because we'll send you the copy. If you've got any questions or comments, you can email any of us, Dan at revereasset.com, Tim at Revere Asset, Don at Revere Asset, or Hunter at Revere Asset. You can always call us old school at 855 Real Wealth.
And calling us old school is actually the easiest thing you can do, stock nerds. You can get us on Twitter right here. Like, I love it when you get me on Twitter. If you follow any one of us, Don, Danny, or myself, what that allows you to do is message us. So we'll follow you back, and then you can message us. It's so much easier than email for me. And then on top of that, you get an answer much more quickly for me. The quickest way is to call, believe it or not. You want immediacy, call. We're not gonna, like I told you before, we're not going to sell you anything. We just want to help you. If you want to join the firm, we'd love to have you, but not a prerequisite. We get I'm telling you, transparency. It's so crazy. We give away everything, and it's why the business is growing. It just exponentially. That's the model, folks. Serve other investors the best we can. So look, I want to talk to you about Netflix. This is one I didn't sell.
You got 1 minute. We got to go. I got a hard stop. Boogie.
I think Netflix comes up, challenge the underside of this gap, and then eventually off the weekly chart, go back to the weekly chart. Danny, I've got 45 seconds. Can I pull up my charts quick enough? Oh,
I don't
they're
know.
trying. Weekly chart is the one that I'm focused in on. This week, you held the 21 and you're coming back. So this is just one big consolidation, and I'm looking for Netflix to go up and challenge 575. All right, Danny, take us home.
We'll talk to you next week on Your Money.